In this video, we're going to hear from Steven Gendel, who's an OP of a market center in New Jersey, who has implemented amazing systems to convert likely seller predictions into deals and had phenomenal success, both personally as well as for his entire market center. So put on your broker hat, put on your practitioner hat, and get ready to be educated on amazing tactics that will give you fantastic results. So everybody, hey, thank you for tuning in today. We've got Steven Gendel. He is truly a myth, a legend at Keller Williams and OP. He does so much more than only run a market center. Oh my gosh. He also in commercial real estate. He has all kinds of passions. And today what he's coming back for is after 6 months, actually, I think he's been using Likely.AI products for now almost 2 years. But the last recording we had was 6 months ago. We said, hey, we'll circle back and kind of catch up and see how things are going since then. And his market center is KW Suburban Realty in New Jersey. So if you are in the New Jersey area, you want to work with a man who has systems down like no one's business, please contact Steven. And at that, I'm going to kind of open this up. I just want to hear kind of how it's been over the last 6 months. Like what have you implemented? What's worked? What hasn't? What do you recommend, and so forth?
First of all, thanks, Brad, for having me. Number one,
absolutely,
really appreciate the second chance to come back on. So, look, we talk about this all the time. The biggest challenge for most realtors is implementation, but the other challenge is what to implement. Right? Where do I go first? So I've been spending the past 7, 8, 9 months focusing all my energy on the database refresh product that you guys have, which at the end of the day is the ultimate key to success. I think any realtor out there struggles with where's my next piece of business coming from? Where's my next deal coming from? Or what's my year going to look like, since we're kind of in planning mode for next year? And the database refresh product lets you just synthesize all of your database that Gary Keller would say you need to treat like a country club, and know who to focus on to be your platinum level guests at your country club, I guess, if you want to call them that. I took a look at my own database. I put it through your database refresh product and analyzed 3,200 contacts and found 678 potential sellers. Like, I've never listed 678 homes in a year.
Huh.
I'd love to.
You're looking forward to that?
Really right. But the fact that I could isolate the fact that there are 678 people to focus my efforts on for the next 6 months makes my life really hyper-focused on who I need to be communicating with. So, of course, I reached out to the top people who are the perfect matches. I got 4 listings right away.
Wow.
So one we just put under contract today, actually. We've been negotiating multiple offers on. I've got 3 more coming on the market really soon. One we sold privately. So, it's kind of fun. So it's going to be 5 from that one system of people in my database who I should normally be in touch with on a personal level. And I probably missed a phone call here and there because of life circumstances. And now we're back engaged again in a real estate conversation. And I could have lost that deal.
Yeah.
Now, the frustrating part is I looked at that database refresh product so heavily because I saw 3 listings hit over the summer that should have been mine, that I didn't stay in touch with those people. And they showed up on your system as people who were likely to move. And I almost kicked myself.
Really?
Because I took $75,000 out of my own pocket. And so, as great as all the good stuff that you say I do, I get madder at the ones I missed because I didn't know, right? I didn't call, I didn't stay in touch. And one of them was a sale and a buy. So really, it's actually more like $100,000 out of my pocket because they didn't even buy a home with me and they listed with someone else. And that's my fault. I don't blame anyone but me.
So what did you do? I'm going to guess, I know you're awesome at implementing systems. So you see these losses and you go, okay, that's not going to happen again. What did you do?
No, I'll never let that happen again. So first things is go after the people who are a 90% match or greater in moving, phone call right away, just to reconnect. Then go through my 80% people. Once I start getting out of the 70% people, I then start a letter writing campaign with what we call the golden letter. To anyone who scored 52% or greater, got the golden letter. So I ended up sending out 678 letters, which enabled me to get conversations started for future business next year. So I already know of the four listings that I got, the other one coming on next year, I'll end up getting 10 to 16 listings from letters sent out to 600 people.
Wow.
So,
And so you started this for you. Did you also, like, I know that you run a market center, and I think you partnered with some other OPs in New Jersey as well. Have you implemented the same system for your market center or something different?
Yeah, so I went to my agents in my market center and I showed them, here's my database, here are my results. You can have the same. Here's the system, right? First is put your database into the database refresh, look at your results and sort them, call the 90%ers, the 80%ers, but then send to everyone this golden letter. And I use an outsourced company called Yellow Letters Complete. They do all my letters for me. And then start following up with those people. Then make sure they're in your database or Keller Williams Command if you use Command. Put the quarterly call plan on them, but definitely put them on what we call the biweekly neighborhood nurture, which is local market stats, what's happening in their neighborhood every 2 weeks. Because now these people are moving, right? Yep. This is your platinum group. This is your special people. So you should pour all your love into that group. And some are doing it, some aren't. Some don't want to put the time and work in, some don't want to put the effort in. I did the same thing with my mom's database. She's a realtor since 1982.
Oh, wow.
We put her database through the refresh product. We found out of her 700 she's actually made her database smaller because it's hyper focused. Okay. But her whole business, she took 6 listings from her database last June. So,
whoa.
Her database is still turning out money for her, which is great. She's on my team. So
go mom.
Yeah, go mom. So we did a 700 person database in your system and got 71 matches.
Okay.
First thing I did was open it up and I saw the spreadsheet and I called my mom. I go, Mom, so-and-so's moving. And she's like, how do you know? I said, well, there were 99% match in the database refresh I told you I was doing. And she said, it's so funny because they called me yesterday to tell me they were about to put their home on the market, but they're hiring their daughter because their daughter's a realtor. And I said, okay, well, I can understand they're hiring their daughter, but I said, amazing. She's like, how did you know? I go, well, the database refresh told me that they were moving. I said, okay, here's the 4 people you got to call right now. So she's in conversations with her top people, and we did a letter writing campaign for her as well. So
that is an awesome story. It's one of those stories that it's why we do what we do, right? Because when we can help agents, OPs, their moms, and hear a story like that, man, I pass those on to our team and they go, oh, that's awesome. Tell me more. And so we love hearing the success you're having with it. How do you plan to use it going into 2022?
So we've been, number one, I've been talking to other market centers about that. I've been talking to other operating principals about it. I've demoed it to other market centers from a regional level on down to individual. I just did one this week to a 300-person market center in central New Jersey and went over the purpose of that. And I said, if you guys don't use this, you're crazy. You're crazy. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you not, when everyone struggles for where the next deal is and everyone pays, I won't say their name, but it sounds like pillow, all this money for leads. You have a 5% conversion rate and you buy leads like crazy for buyers, and there's a lack of listing inventory, and we want listings in our business and we want to know our database, but we won't put between, $100 to $1,000 into understanding what your database is telling you.
Yeah.
And then go after it with a letter writing campaign and phone call campaign and a follow-up campaign to tell them what's for sale in their neighborhood. Then I don't understand what you're doing. It's why Pillow got in the business. They could take your database from you because you're not in front of your clients. Oh, and so my plan for 2022 is get the word out about this, because I'm just telling everyone about it.
Thank you.
And then every 6 months, run my database through to make sure I'm not missing out on anything.
Sounds like we need to come out with something to help you by making the cost lower and just rerun it every single month for you. Like a refresh plan or something. Yeah, continually run it for me so it alerts me and says, hey, these people went from a no percent to 60%, or these people went from 50% in your database to now a 75% likely to move score, right? Yes. Some alert system that tells me they've jumped, something's happened. Because if that doesn't wake me up, well, then I'm an idiot.
right? Like then it's my own fault. Like, the problem, I was out for dinner with a bunch of agents the other night and we were chatting and I said, the challenge with most realtors is implementation. It's easy to spend money at stuff.
Yeah.
And hope that other person implements it. Right. I would rather spend money at stuff that I know from the 35,000 foot level, I've got to implement a couple things, but then I can hand off the implementation to another company or someone else. But I got to control what that data is going to tell me. Otherwise, I'm just like outsourcing everything to everyone else. And we waste so much money on stuff that just doesn't make sense. I just shake my head.
And so you're pulling these pieces together. You've got now the intelligence for targeting.
Yep.
And then you've spent, it sounds like, a good amount of time looking at how best to nurture these people in your database that you may know very well or cordially, or maybe they're leads that you bought online that now you're nurturing or whatever it would be. And you're starting to drive from that kind of incubation outbound, really high qualified, warm inbound. Is that a good summary of that?
That's a great summary. And as I said, the challenge for most agents is, yeah, okay, I'll try it or I'll do it, or what does this data tell me? And then they don't know how to implement beyond that. And I'm just like, implementation's as easy as I'm going to decide to call these 600 people over the next year. If you realize there's 365 days of the year, I only got a call, for me, 2 a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, does that sound that challenging?
The whole dial for dollars, take an hour in the morning, and you need 15 minutes while you're getting a cup of coffee,
Right, exactly. So if I really wanted to call all 178 in my database, it's really 5 or 10 a day. Does that really take that much time when I'm looking to get listing business?
Not at all. No.
Not at all. Right. Not at all. And someone like my mom does 3 things, plays tennis, plays bridge, and does real estate. Like, that's it. And on her whiteboard, it says, make 5 new contacts a day. I said, Mom, here are the 70 people you got to call. She's already on it. She's like, okay, I'm good.
So you're using it for the most obvious, best purpose of getting listings for your business, for your agent's business, for your mom's business. Are you using it for any other reasons internally at your market center?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously exploring and using it in ways to take your other data sets you have about likely sellers and COVID distress sellers, but mostly likely sellers, and then setting up systems to work in some lead generation models for our agents and find ways to help them generate more listing leads. So for people who are not in their database, take the bigger data sets that you have, bring them down to a market center level and do the nurturing for our agents so that they don't have to worry about that. Because as I said before, implementation on a bigger scale of people they don't know is more of a challenge. Yeah. Whereas it's easier to implement on a smaller scale of people in your database. You already know them, you have a relationship. Absolutely. But on the bigger county level data that we're pulling in from likely sellers, being able to put a system in place so we can nurture them till that person's ready to sell and then hand that lead off to an agent.
Man, that's smart.
Yeah.
And I know that you've told me this many times that, being an OP or a brokerage owner, recruiting and retaining top talent is like one of the kind of things that you think about every day, top of mind.
Oh, yeah.
Is what we offer helping you in that regard at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably my biggest recruiting tool is I sit down with every potential agent and I say to them, technology is changing your business. Tell me how. Some know, some don't. Like some say, oh, it's this, or they'll blame Pillow, or they'll blame XYZ company for taking their business, or they think SEO is the answer. I don't have enough money to code SEO to get my list, to get my data, my website first. So, right. And
it's a lot of blog posts.
Yeah. And the mindset of a agent who spends all this money to try to be first on the list, I guess in some communities that works, but when you're in a major metropolitan area like me, it doesn't mean so much. So at the end of the day, it's like even advertising on the radio doesn't make sense because the cost per dollar per lead doesn't make sense. So you turn around and say to yourself, listen, agent, where's your business and how's it going? What if I could sit with you and predict your next six listings or your next 10 listings or your next 20? And they go, how are you going to do that? I go, I have this service as an intelligence product where I can analyze your database and tell you who's moving. And then we'll put a system in place for you inside Keller Williams that'll get you that business. And they go, how do you do that? I'm like, join us and I'll show you.
Wow, that's a powerful close.
And then sometimes I'll even say, if you don't want to join us, I'll run your database through the system if you want and just show you all the potential leads that are there. But I'm not going to do the setup of your system for you because you're not working with us. I mean, I can set the whole system up in Command for you, but I just got to show you how many potential deals you're missing out on.
Yeah.
And I think people don't understand the power of that. Because as I said, do you really, really, really want to be fighting for your next deal and guessing? And you really want to know that it's coming from this 600 people or 200 people or 70 people or whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to make money when you're guessing at a group of 70 versus a group of 3,000.
Yeah. You lose less money trying to get to the right ones, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I read a lot of books. One of them was The One Thing, right?
Yep.
How would you classify the database refresh or leveraging artificial intelligence in general within the real estate business? Would that be on your short list of one things to do?
I mean, it should be the only thing you're spending money on.
Wow.
Well, think about it. Think about it, Brett. And I know I'm talking to you because you're preaching to the choir right by talking to you, but realtors like to spend a lot of money on marketing. Mm-hmm. And marketing is that nebulous term that no one can give me a definitive answer of what marketing is. Now, if you came to me and said, Steven, I have a marketing strategy to grow my business next year, and you laid it out and showed me a strategy with the word marketing on it, that's a different conversation. But realtors always talk about marketing themselves, but they don't have a strategy around it, right? I think about the strategy of getting business. Where's my next deal coming from and how am I going to get that? And if I don't have that mindset, then what am I doing? So then I take a product like yours, the database refresh product, and now I get to really map out a definitive strategy towards 678 people that I believe have an X% chance of moving next year. My costs go down, my focus goes up, my one thing gets really clear, and I know how to market myself to those 678 people just in the command system besides anything else I'm going to do. So I'm actually bringing my cost per lead and cost per deal down, and I'm hyper-focused on my business. I can't help but make more money next year and get more listings.
Yeah. I know that we are preaching to the choir here because I wholeheartedly agree, but I think you just said something there that triggered a thought, is that you mentioned Pello and you mentioned, paying them for your business and how do you stay hyper focused kind of all together. And the thought would be that, with what's going on with Zillow, right? Pello, sorry.
It's okay.
How does that, what's going on with Pello, and then also, with the Gary Keller, hey, if you control the lead, you control the industry. How does leveraging something that's not controlled by them empower agents and market centers and OPs? How does that change that dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, your database is your business, right? It is your country club. It is your world. It is your everything that will keep you going. And you're supposed to feed it every day by adding new people and communicate it with it every day. What you're adding on top of that is a layer that says whom that is. Who should I be going after every day? Who's the target? Who should I be communicating with every day so that I get the business? I said this term before, and I don't know if I said it the last time we met. Realtors are still stuck in this mindset of, we have this really cool thing called a computer, and we have the ability to do mass communication on a mass scale. And the problem is, because of this little cool thing called a cell phone, it's time for micro communication on a mass scale. So are you micro marketing on a mass scale, or you still believe that we have a computer and I can mass text and email people because I can, who don't care about your message, versus micro marketing on a mass scale to your people who care about your message? What you do is allow me to micro market on a mass scale.
I've not heard that before. That is a great summary. I'm glad that we can enable you.
That's the age we're in now.
Yes.
Computers allowed us to mass market.
Yeah.
And we thought that was the way to do it. We're still stuck in that mindset that I can mass text, I can mass email, and at the end of the day, your clients go back and say, do I really care about this information? No. So I'm just going to delete you from my life. Yeah. I'm going to unsubscribe from my life. I'm right. Because we have this filter. It's this little thing, this cell phone thing, right? It's my filter. It's my remote control to the world. So I allow what's in and out of my world up by that. We now are at the day and age of micro marketing on a mass scale. It's been here for about 5 or 6 years. And realtors don't understand that because we're still mass. I get questions all the time, but Steven, I want to send a mass email to everyone. I'm like, do your clients care? Do your past clients care? Do your potential clients care? Because if you need to find out what they care about.
Yeah.
Because if you're just sending a newsletter out for newsletter's sake, great, you did something, and I'm glad you did something, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how much return on your investment? How many pieces of business you're getting? What are you tracking? It's the old, while I'm doing it, I'm in front of everyone's face. And I'm like, are you mass marketing on a mass scale still? Are you micro marketing on a mass scale? That's the secret.
Micro marketing on a mass scale. So it's not the old just spray and pray. It used to be postcards, and then it became email blasts, and Google now has helped us filter out a lot of that noise, right? And so it's not getting through. And so now you're saying it's frequency and frequency, right? It's how often you hit them, what frequency you hit them on, and if you do the same to all, you lose.
Right. I mean, I have a filter in my email.
Yeah.
Anyone that sends me an email with the word unsubscribe hidden anywhere in their email goes to a certain junk folder, which means I've unsubscribed you before I even have to touch a button. It just goes to the junk folder till I'm ready to read it.
Yeah, that's smart.
If I can filter that out to save myself 300 junk messages a day with the word unsubscribe, then how are you going to get through that filter? Because there are people like me out there, right? So you have to have a personal relationship with me, which means I have to care about what you're selling me or sending me what I care about. So like the old days when I used a different system before I used yours and Command, and people say to me all the time, I just want to send an email, newsletter to everyone. I'm like, are your clients reading it? Like, did you have metrics that said they were? Like, now I have metrics to see if they're reading what I'm sending them. Before, I didn't even have metrics. I just sent it out because I felt good. And it was the day about 5-6 years ago, one of my clients called me and said, Steven, thanks for the newsletter, but this is the last time I'm going to read it. And I said, why? He's like, I don't care what the average sales price is in the country, and you're telling me it's $275 when the average price around here is $700,000. So you told me that you aren't paying attention to what's happening in my world. Ooh. And I said to him, thank you for that feedback. This is the last day I send that newsletter out. Now, that newsletter to send out was easy.
Yeah.
I just mass emailed it to all my clients, right?
Yep.
Now I have to micro market.
And so Keller Command gives you that ability to kind of slice and dice, and you're using Likely to help define what those cohorts are? Or
I'm using Likely to find out, okay, these are the people I need to really be micro marketing. And first thing I have to do is put them on the biweekly neighborhood nurture, which is hyper local for sale data in their neighborhood.
Yep.
So they could be in 75 different neighborhoods because my clients cover many different towns, but they're only finding out the data of their neighborhood. They don't care what the national sales price is. They don't care where national trends are going. They care about their 5-block radius or their town. Right. So now I'm micro marketing, then I'm following up with phone calls, then I'm micro marketing data to them, and then I'm sending them letters. But if we don't get to the micro marketing on a mass scale habit, we're dead.
You give me a lot to think about. Every time we talk, whether it's on like a recorded thing like this or on a call or whatever, now I've got all these little hamsters in my wheel starting to spin, So what is the one thing that you wish you had that you haven't found in the market today to help you do micro marketing more efficiently? Or is there one?
Well, the first step was finding you guys, like really just getting involved with Likely and finding the database refresh product this year and seeing the level it's at in terms of quality and information. That was like huge because now I really know who to micro market in my database and who do I reach out to. So that was number one. Number two was the Likely Sellers product, but then getting that data into a workable form so I really know who to focus on. Like really comes down to that. And then using the ability to skip trace data to find the missing holes. Like what am I missing on this person, right? What do I not have? I might have an email address or a phone number, but could be old or wrong. I need more data about them. So I need their significant other's phone number. So going to another level of data information so that my database is so accurate. And I'll use a major company that does this so well. Disney is one of my favorite places to go. I just got back from Disney World about 3 weeks ago.
That's cool.
But they micro market on a mass scale depending on who I am. I'm an annual pass holder. I'm a Disney Vacation Club member versus the general public who only goes once every 4 years. Right?
Yeah.
I see their general public ads on TV, but they don't get to my inbox. Why? Because I'm one of their best customers. If I'm one of their best customers and I get different data and different specials and different incentives and different notices, well, shouldn't you do that with your own database who's looking to move?
Absolutely.
Aren't your sellers your best customers?
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
so why are you not micro-marketing the way a company like Disney? Now, granted, Disney's a big company, they've got the money, but Brad, you gave us the ability to do that with Likely sellers and with the database refresh. So now I know who's moving and I got to go back into command and just put them on 2 smart plans. And I'm 90% of the way there.
Wow. Wow. So we need to help reduce friction of getting the data in a format so you to leverage faster.
That's it.
Okay. Do you
and
think
if you told me that every month, you're just going to ping me and go, hey, Steven, now it's 20 people. These are 20 people to focus on this month. Steven, These are the 40 people. You just made my life that much easier. I'm just going to micro market those 40 people. So it gets me back to my one thing quicker. If I only have 40 people to call a month and I know 10 of them are moving, life gets pretty easy at that point.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. I think we can do something for you there. You give me great ideas for how to continue to evolve.
You didn't know we were going this way, did you?
No, I did, but I love going this way with you because I believe that you speak very well for the real estate industry as a whole, as far as for what's working, what's not working, because you've tried so many different things. You like to be an early adopter and try and see if it's going to be a thing. And you, because of that lens you bring to that, you sniff things out and throw them out quick if they don't play. And so when we find someone like you, we want to lean in as a company, because if we can make you a raving fan, then we know that everyone else that has the same pain point will find success by following. It seems simple once you say it, but it's really kind of convoluted until you get that clarity of, hey, this is what you do. Here's your one thing. Run your database, put them on a 2-week drip to start. Then there's these 3 or 4 other options that you can take depending on who you are and how you like to communicate. But this is really simple to implement and it's effective.
Yep, that's right. And you just got to get that hyper focus. We're so busy just all over the place. I'll use a new agent example.
Okay.
Right. New agents send me all the time. I'm going to do some social media. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And they end up doing a little bit of everything and a lot of nothing. And it's funny. I'm on and I'll bring that to another thing too, which is I'm on a daily, almost a daily script call run out of a North Carolina Keller Williams Market Center. And it's a script call from 8:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning. And we practice all these different scripts. And then we go into breakout rooms and they were always like, well, Steven, what do you think of the script? I'm like, guys, I still only use 2 scripts. They're like, why? I'm like, because I don't call FISBOs and I don't call this. I don't call it. I just call this 2 groups. My past customers and expireds. That's it. That's all I want to call. Why? It works. I have them. I know them. I own them. So I'm hyper focused. It's the same thing that you're doing, is getting us hyper focused on who we should be calling. You're taking the guesswork out of it. And the toughest thing in real estate is the guesswork. You took away all the guesswork. I don't understand why more people don't see that. I hand against the wall every day, Brad. I'm like, I'm handing you your business for the next 6 months on a silver platter. Here
you go. Go prosper.
Go. And if you're not going to do it, then I'll just do it for you and put a system around it. Like, I don't understand.
And that's what you've done to date for your market center for agents that are wanting to leverage it, and maybe they still are a little bit distracted by things around them. And you're saying, hey, here are the guardrails. Let's get you focused back on what makes money for you daily, not likes or shares or whatnot.
No, I mean, I there's definitely a place in this world for social media. It's not going to go away. And there's an agent on my team who's great at social media, and I leverage her ability to build a following, but she has a way of doing it. And she's figured out the story, how to tell a story, how to share a story, and how to make those stories part of her ongoing communication with her world, because she's engaging in that format. I know another realtor who leverages Facebook groups in an exclusive way to give out exclusive content and information that's hyper relevant to her local market, micro market.
Yeah, that's smart. Okay.
Right? So if you do that, then you have a Facebook group that I own a company that does that. We create Facebook groups for people so they can own a local micro market. and be the only realtor in that micro market.
Elaborate. I remember, I think you said this a while back. I forgot like your nuance. If you want to give any insights like that, I remember it was really cool. I think it was an SEO trick or something because of Facebook.
Yeah, it's called organicleads.io, and we have this internal way of leveraging SEO through Facebook, where you can be the only realtor in this custom Facebook group that we can create for you, and you own that space, and it gives you all the SEO you want, and it's free.
That's awesome.
And so it's like I turn around and I say, that's micro marketing. That's owning a micro market. And that's where social media is powerful. The problem is when realtors think I'm just going to go on Facebook and post, hey, I just sold a house. And I always use this analogy. When the pilot lands my plane, he doesn't stop and go, wait. Can I take a selfie? We just landed okay. You're supposed to sell the house. That's what you're hired for. Okay? Yeah.
Right. You're supposed to do that. So congratulations, you didn't crash. But you
don't want the surgeon coming out and going, wait, let's take a selfie. We just closed. Okay. Hey, I did my job. Like the patient's coming out into recovery. Right? You're supposed to sell their home. That's what we do. But you can leverage social media to micro market.
And give valuable content that's relevant to the audience within that microcosm.
Especially based on what you guys provide. So yeah, it's all intertwined, but it's right there in front of you.
Steven, can we do another one in 6 months from now? Because
sure.
Every time we learn, I'm just going to keep asking and dripping with you because, there'll be this evolution of the system, that I'm seeing you implement so well. And the learnings that you gain along the way are things that will help agents, not just in your market, but around the country, utilize technology as a whole, I think more efficiently. I know you do a lot of coaching on this, and I think it obviously comes through very, very clearly to me on these calls. If an agent or, someone that wants to sell their home is in the New Jersey area, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So email is my first name's S for Steven. It's S Gendel, Gendel @kw.com. Or my cell phone, always a good way to reach me. I have no problem answering it. 973-632-1359.
So there you go, guys. If you're in the New Jersey area and you're a realtor, you want to start leveraging AI and the systems that Steve's perfected, please reach out to him. And if you're looking to buy or sell, Steven's your guy. That he'll take very good care of you. Steven, is there anything else that you would want to talk about before we get off?
No, this is great, and glad I could throw you a curveball with micro marketing on a mass scale. I'm sure
I love
we'll get phone calls about that later.
Yeah,
it's a mindset thing. When I hit on that in a class I was teaching, I'm like, that's the day and age we're in.
That is the day and age.
Realtors have to understand what that is and get there. That's my biggest thing. You got to understand that and get there.
Understand that and get there. Well, we will continue to do what we can to serve you and the real estate community, and to continue to evolve the product as we learn what is working and not working, in places where there's gaps. So for 6 months now, we'll have a great product update, and I know we're going to have like a whole list of success stories from you and your market center.
Oh, yeah.
So
we're going to be enjoying. Thanks, Brady.
Hey, thank you, Steven.
Anytime. Appreciate it.